Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm gonna give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
This season of Pack Your Knives is presented by the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority, and we got something special, a 6-part Savor Charlotte edition diving into the people shaping one of the South's most exciting food scenes. Charlotte's been getting a lot of national buzz lately, and for good reason. From hosting Top Chef Carolinas to its growing presence in the Michelin Guide, the city is quickly becoming a place where bold new ideas and Southern tradition come together on the plate. So go check out charlottesgotalot.com for more.
Hey, Carly, I'm curious, what is your Chinese zodiac animal?
I had to look it up. I am Year of the Snake. And I resonate with the characterization of snakes as intelligent, but not so much the sneaky. What about you?
So luckily, like Lawrence and Seeger, I'm an 87 baby. So I am Year of the Rabbit, which fits this episode quite well. I did no research, so I don't know what the characteristics of the rabbit are in the Chinese zodiac, but maybe I'll look that up. But yeah, it was fun that they mentioned that, and I was like, oh, I'm a rabbit.
Yeah, they're like our age. So here at Track Your Knives, we are not your typical recap podcast. We're a fun little companion podcast to Pack Your Knives, where here we track your power rankings and your fantasy leagues that we're hosting. And we get to call out those of you who are doing well and lament with those of you who drop in rankings. For the power rankings, we're getting closer and closer to figuring out who is going to win. And that winner will get a chef-curated meal by none other than Sara Bradley at Fright House in Paducah.
Yes, very exciting. And there's only a few points between the top of the leaderboard. So the next few episodes are going to be really exciting to see who gets that dinner at Fright House in Paducah. Well, this episode had a lot going on. I really enjoyed it. Before we jump in, I wanted to do a follow-up from last episode. So we were talking about Lawrence, who got his 4th win last week. And you did a really great write-up on the Pack Your Knives Substack about GOAT status for Top Chef. And that's capital GOAT, so greatest of all time. And how well do chefs do who win 4 or more elimination challenges throughout the season? And so I wanted to jump in and just kind of talk through what you found as you were looking into that.
Yeah, so Lawrence was the 15th chef across all of the seasons to win 4 elimination challenges. And the vast majority of those, or not the vast majority, I think, I should have pulled this up, like 6 went on to win. And then there are another 15 or so chefs who had 5 or more elimination challenge wins. And there, 9 of the 15 did go on to win. So things are looking good, especially now that we know he wasn't eliminated at 6th. There's only been one person who is 5th who got those accolades. So things are looking quite good for him. And I did let him know about this post because I really do think that he is entering GOAT status. Yeah. So when I've looked at this in the past, what I look for is duration. Like, are they here for at least 3 episodes, right? Like, you could have a great record, but be eliminated 1st or 2nd. That's not like really GOAT to me. Yeah, Rhoda Pre. Yeah, but like Day has a really good win record, or like I call it not bottom and top average. So that's comparing across all of the chefs in all the seasons. So looking at duration, looking at consistency, how much are they in the top or winning? So not just safe, but are they consistently performing high and well and in the top? And then the third thing I look for, which I think is just a little fun nugget, is what I call star factor, where they win an episode. So this season, we've only seen that happen twice. Seeger won 1 episode, winning the Quickfire and elimination, and Anthony won another, again, Quickfire and elimination. So looking at that, I then look at the distribution of, where I think the cutoff is to say, okay, there's, let's say, the 93rd, the 95th percentile. Where are those chefs at? So in terms of win rates, that's at a win rate of 26%, or because at Pack Your Knives, we have a little bit of a sports bent. We call it 20.260.
I can't help you out. Sorry.
I can't help myself here. Sports. So of 26%, and Lawrence going into the episode this week had a win rate of 33%. So he was already solidly there. Mm-hmm. And while his win rate dropped slightly because he was not the winner this episode, it still stayed above that threshold. And in terms of consistency, what I found is that those who are at the top or win 7 or more elimination challenges are those really strong competitors. And as of this episode, Lawrence has achieved that. Awesome. So he's got 2 out of the 3 things that I'm looking for in a GOAT. I think that generally speaking, if you have 1 of those 3, then that's really great. In terms of the star factor, I say 2 or more episodes. So unfortunately, Seeger and Anthony aren't making the cut for that. But I'm very, it's weird to say I'm proud of a stranger, but this is really wonderful for Lawrence.
Yes. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. And I know he had a down week this week, but he's got 2 more normal episodes to kind of see where he ends up landing sort of amongst everyone else. And then obviously the finale when we get there. So excited to see that. But yeah, he just seems like such a great human. And I love all of his backstories with his family. So yeah, I'm definitely rooting for him. Well, cool. Well, let's jump into this episode. So the Quickfire this week was quite fun, and it had a lot going on. It had audience votes. It had shopping, which is rare, and the lots of fun drama. So the audience this week voted on the food, one of the foods they would cook, how long they would get, and then something super chaotic. And I thought they were so nice in the first 2. They gave them peaches. They gave them 30 minutes to cook. And then out of left field threw in the move to the right, move to the right station, or the station to the right. And I was like, that's a really fun change up. I actually enjoyed that. I just felt like, and I'm curious what you think, that they did it a little bit too late into the cooking. they should have let them get in like 5 minutes or so and then did the shift. Because at that point they had almost like finished their dishes. And so like Rhoda just basically like finished Sherry's dish. She didn't like try to then come up with something for herself. So I'm kind of curious, like if you felt like the time, like they did it at the right time, or they like, or maybe just in general, how you felt about that particular twist.
Yeah, it felt brutal, I think, because of all of the confessionals from Sherry. I'm not sure how far into it. It was like maybe halfway through, but that's not some dishes were so fully completed.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting was the influence of the free bread from the grocery store
on what they
and the fact that Sherry and then Rhoda then had a tostada as opposed to a piece of toast where they all had a baguette was a differentiating factor. Yeah, I have mixed feelings, but they did show Rhoda tasting, seasoning, changing, adding more acid. But yeah, the conception of the dish was Sherry's.
Yeah. Oh man, she just had like quite the episode. Her like confessionals were just crushing it. But I was kind of curious, like, do you think if this had not happened, if Rhoda hadn't have won with her dish that she was very excited about, do you think she would have brought that same fire into the elimination challenge and won? Or do you think this really like lit that up for her? Because we saw it like rumblings of this in the last episode, right? Where she's like, I'm always in the middle. And then at the end, they didn't call her up for top or bottom, and her her face was just so she was like already building up towards this, and this just kind of felt like the what just kind of broke her. But I'm wondering, do you think she would have had that same fire?
I don't know. I think there was something in her where she was like, I am cooking my food. And so like that, the fact that Rhoda then presented her dish, it felt like, was just very irritating. But often, and we saw this with Gwen in, I don't know if it was in her elimination episode, where Tom says something and you're like, yikes, like I got to rethink everything. And in this case, Tom says something to Sherry. You don't see that with braised jerk. And she's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm doing this.
Yeah. And there's just something about how grounded she was in herself, and whether that came from the quickfire, that might have been the last straw.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, if she hadn't won, I hope they would have changed the edit, because as my stepkids would say, that was like clowning on her then. If if she hadn't won, it was building.
I do love when she like took a step back and then she came back and she was like, okay, I'm doing better. I had some food and I'm like back on a level ground. It was just so funny to see that like switch.
Hangry is an emotion.
Yes. Oh man, that was good. Okay. Last thing about the quickfire. So they had like a budget to actually go and shop this week. Do we see that very often in quickfires?
We don't. So I haven't confirmed budget data for quickfires for all of them. Of the ones that I do have, it's only about 14% of quickfires that have ever had a budget. And I expect that number to change a little bit as I finish up that data collection, but that's really low.
Yeah.
They don't usually have a large budget anyway for like if it were a quickfire, like it's not going to be that large. But yeah, so that was really interesting to me. And then at the end of the quickfire, when Kristen said their budget was going to be 400. They're like, what's the catch? It's never that high. Suspicious. Yeah. So I like the little bit of like the budget can indicate to the chefs like what's going to be coming.
Yeah. That was fun. And they're like, okay, keep telling us what's happening. So that was really fun. All right. Well, there was one more thing I wanted to dig into before we get to the power ranking. So I think it was episode 3. We talked about trios. Well, this week we had duos. And so Anthony and Jonathan both landed in the bottom with their duos. Anthony with his rabbit and carrots duo, which I loved the concept. And I was just like so bummed he didn't execute on that, because it could have been like way more playful. And I felt like I don't know what was going on in that plate. But anyways, and then Jonathan had like 2 totally separate rabbit dishes on one plate. Like I didn't even say like 2 rabbit preparations. Like those were 2 different dishes on a single plate. And so let's talk about how duos typically do in elimination challenges.
Yeah, so they, at least qualitatively, right, we hear time and time again, don't give us 2 things, because then we will compare you against you as opposed to you against your competitors.
Yeah.
And when we've looked at this, it's about 24% of the time that duos are in the bottom or eliminated.
Okay.
And most of that percentage comes from being eliminated. It's, I'm not sure exactly if it's that big of a deal in terms of this number. Like when I was looking at things like when they do ceviches and crudos and that sort of raw fish preparation.
Yeah.
Over like, what is that, 33%, 34% were at the bottom or eliminated, compared to 24 for duos. So I don't know what we can really take from this, but it is something that I always keep an eye on when I hear it come up, because of the qualitative information. This one was particularly interesting. I didn't look into this, but this, at the end of the day, was 2 duos against itself.
Yeah.
Against each other, rather.
Each other. Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. And it looks like, just looking at this, if I'm reading it right, the duos ending up in the top or a win is actually pretty high, about the same as them landing in the middle. So it's actually not that. I think you hear a lot, don't do it, but it's not really, like the data doesn't show that it actually hurts them that bad to do the duos. They're more likely to be safe than to be in the bottom doing a duo. Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't do trios.
Don't do trios.
Land you in the bottom.
Yeah, that's that one for sure. And like that doesn't include like when they were required in a team challenge to do like the trio of wine flight pairings. But yeah, that's 58% of the time the trios are in the bottom or eliminated. And yeah, so I think when you're splitting your time, when you have such limited time and you aren't able to like have redos and tests, that'll hurt you. The trios.
Yes, agree. Awesome. Well, let's get into power rankings. It was a really good week. I think I'm curious to see what the average scores were, because I was just looking at the top 10 and they were all over the place. So very curious to see where that landed. But for you and I had Sherry as my winner. I think I've tried that out a few times. It finally paid off for me. But I felt like coming out of last episode, I'm like, she's either winning or she's going home. And so I'm just going to take the swing for this one. And then I had Anthony in 4th. I had actually popped him and Lawrence down lower. Just, I felt like there was maybe some momentum for some other chefs to get a win. But I had Jonathan in 2nd. So that almost like screwed me anyway. So how about yourself?
Yeah. So with Sherry, flipped it. I had her as going home.
Yeah.
Because I was sort of like, it hasn't really come to fruition. I think she's going home. And then I had Anthony in 5th. So I got good points for Anthony, only 1 point for Sherry. So you got 10 points, I got 6 points, and we're actually doing better than half of the other players.
Wow.
Half of the players got 5 or fewer points. So especially, compared to not doing my power rankings last week, it feels good to get some points. I'm still in the 40s in terms of rank. I've lost hope, but it's, this one. And I think too, as the number of chefs get smaller, our opportunities for points also get smaller, right? So you could, have people in the middle and you're going to get 3 points for each of those. And, then if there's 5, you're going to get 6 out of the 10 points. Like you're going to be doing okay. So things are going to get close.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be fun. Like if it's predictable or not, these next few episodes, because we'll get into it, but I doubt a lot of people had Anthony in their bottom. So we'll see if these next few weeks, if people can actually figure out what's going to happen or not. So our bonus question this week was who won the Quickfire. So as we talked about already, Rhoda ended up winning the Quickfire, even though maybe it should have been Sherry. But regardless, the fact is that Rhoda won. And so I think we had 19 people who had Rhoda.
Yeah, interestingly, more people thought Sherry would win. Yeah, so most people, 27%, had Lawrence as the winner of the Quickfire, and 22 had thought Sherry. And then 17 thought that Rhoda would get it.
Nice.
Yeah. So, people weren't necessarily
Too
that
far
off,
No.
but congrats to the 19 of you who correctly guessed that Rhoda would win the Quickfire.
Yes. Congratulations.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Get 2 times membership rewards points per dollar on eligible purchases in key business categories, as well as on each eligible purchase of $5,000 or more, on up to $2 million in eligible purchases per calendar year. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
The road to the NBA Finals ends here, with star guard setting the tone. The Cavs eye another upset, while the Knicks carry the dreams of all of New York. The Eastern Conference Finals continue on ESPN and ABC.
This episode is brought to you by Ferrero. Soccer's biggest stage is approaching, and Ferrero is making it easy to go all in. Pick any 2 Ferrero brands from Kinder Bueno to Ferrero Rocher, and you could win the $1 million grand prize, plus an exciting range of daily and weekly prizes. Don't miss your shot. Official rules apply. Learn more at goallinandwin.com.
All right, so we kind of alluded to it, but how did everyone do in predicting Sherry as the winner and Anthony as the chef that was going home this week?
Yes. I just realized there was one other thing about the bonus question I wanted to say.
Oh, yeah.
So we're 11 episodes in, and I wanted to give a congrats to some people who got their first ever bonus question correct.
Oh, hey.
So that's Twist Street, Jimmy Eat Wordle, which is
Love
a
that.
wonderful name. Hannah C. M. D. Rothenberg, Chef Butter, Ann N., and a dog named Waffles.
Aw.
Yeah, we love you, Waffles. So to your question about how people did, we had 1 perfect score this week. Matt M.
Congrats.
We had 4 people who got 1 point shy of perfect, all of whom missed the point on elimination and had Anthony as 5th.
5.
Instead of 6th.
Wow.
So that's Cosmic Cave Soup, Casey, Ann, and AD Designs. So
That's
that
impressive.
was, yeah. And none of those folks got the episode bonus. So it really, it's kind of nice to see that, like, even if you're not getting the points from the power rankings, like the bonus question can actually bump you up a bit.
Bump you up. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So how many people had Sherry then as their top?
Yeah, only 21 had Sherry. I mean, so that's
not too bad.
21. 40% had her in their top 3. Sherry was, ranked pretty in the middle, nearing the bottom. She was ranked 4th in the overall power rankings, but she does have a kind of high standard deviation relative to the standard deviation of the other chefs. Yeah. So there are still people, I mean, you and I are the perfect example, right? You put her 1, I put her 6.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of why she's ending in the middle.
Yeah.
And yeah, so 21 got her as the winner. Only 10 chose her as most likely to be eliminated. She, over time, looking at the trend of the number of times she was chosen as the winner, this is the episode where she had the second most people choosing her. Like, in terms of all of the episodes where people chose her as the winner, a couple episodes ago, 24 people chose her as the winner, and this week it was 21.
21. Yeah, which is interesting because there were more chefs to pick from in those episodes. So she's still getting less of those. But we'll talk about that in a second. I'm curious how many people got Anthony correct.
Yeah, just one. Just Matt with the perfect score.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a pretty big surprise. A pretty low number had him in their bottom 3, 23%. 27% or 35 out of the 129 folks had him as their winner. And as we've seen week after week after week, he's the lowest he's been is a rank of 3. And that was in episode 3 and 9. And here he was the second ranked. So he was someone who we were all rooting for or had high confidence in. So this one, I should go back and look at my sort of like front runner status and how, like, if he was a front runner when he left. I think we all as a community felt that. It was sad.
Yeah. Very sad. Especially, we'll get into it later, but my fantasy league is dead. So it was extra sad this week.
Yeah.
Well, we want to give a shout out to the top 5. So Michelle P continues to own the top of the rankings, as does Deg SF, stayed in second. Pure XJ stayed in third. So the 3 of them have maintained the top 3 spot for several weeks now. So congrats to all 3 of you. And then Top Dog and Creamy Risotto rounded out the top 5. And then we also wanted to give a shout out to Coster 077 making a play for it. So they made it all the way to 6, which I think was a bump, quite a few bump rankings for them. So congrats to the top 5 and Coster. So we'll see what happens here in these next few weeks. When we look at who they thought was most expected to win this challenge and to be eliminated, so we kind of know that Sherry and Anthony weren't really at the top or the bottom here. Who were they? And I could probably guess, but who were they expecting to be the one to win this week?
Yes, it is exactly as you would expect it. So Lawrence, 48 people chose him as most likely to win. Only one person chose him as most likely to be eliminated.
Yeah.
And, I think that person was making a big swing,
Yeah.
right? Just in case.
Yep. He had a rough week, so wasn't too bad of a guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll get it in. I'll just say this now, but in terms of the fantasy league points, Lawrence did have his second worst episode so far, but let's be very clear. He was in the top for the Quickfire and was just safe in the elimination. Like his second worst is still really good.
Yeah.
So, So 48 people had him pegged as the winner. And I can pull up the math real fast. 115 divided by 129. 89% of people had Lawrence in their top 3.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So my guess is we're going to continue to see that.
Yeah.
Seeger had 81% of people. No, sorry, 81 of the 129. So what is that, like 60%? Choose him as most likely to be eliminated. And that's just something that we've seen week after week. Whether warranted or not, like he almost won.
Right. I think had it, and we didn't talk about this, but had it not been the mystery voters that picked the winner, like I kind of had a feeling that they actually liked Seeger's better. At least Tom did. And so I was like curious if he would have won had it been the judges instead of the mystery voters.
Yeah. It was interesting because I watched without my partner this week because he's out of town. And so then he watched it Monday, I watched it Tuesday, and I texted him just after the Quickfire, and I was like, okay, based on vibes, I'm so tired. I'm not keeping track of confessionals. I'm like, I don't even have my computer up. I'm just like watching an episode. Very rare for me. And I texted him and I said, Sherry, Seeger, or Lawrence. The winner and the eliminated chef is going to come from these 3.
Yeah.
And I got pretty close. Like 2 of them were in the top and 1 of them won. And so there was and I was like, then when I was thinking about that 3 and I saw how well Seeger and Sherry were doing, I was like, no, is Lawrence going home?
I know.
But no, it's just, he's safe. That feeling of not winning and not being on the top, that's a feeling of loss.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. So, anyway, back to power rankings. So Seeger was on the bottom, and then the next closest was Jonathan, where 16% had him as most likely to be eliminated, as compared to 62% who had Seeger as most likely to be eliminated. So there was a very large gap. And I don't know. I remember Tom Haberstroh asking us, like when we were texting at the start of the season, when we did episode 1 power rankings, like why is everyone so low on Seeger? And I think it might just be the persistent snark, or just the fact that other people have like more compelling stories or something, even though he's been applying for 10, 11, 12 years, like there's a lot there. But yeah, he has just been, middle bottom. Now that we're, at the end, getting to the end, he's been on the bottom.
Yeah. And I'd have to go back and look, but I think he's also like, he's either been at the top or at the bottom of a lot of challenges. And so I think that, like, not at the top of many, but he's been at the bottom of quite a bit. So I think there's like a lot of inconsistency too. And probably just people feeling like him coming back. Did he deserve to come back? And in the way he came back. And, but I think after like last week's episode not doing well, that probably also played a factor too.
Yeah. So of the 11 elimination challenges, he's been at judges' table for 8 of them.
Okay. How many at the bottom?
4 when you count the one that he was out.
Okay.
So
50-50.
Let's see. 1. A little, let's see, 4, 5, 6, sorry, 7 of the 10. Oh yeah, because he missed an episode. 7 of the 10, 4 being at the bottom, 3 being at the top. So, okay. But yeah, so that inconsistency.
Yeah. He was part of it. We'll see. Well, we'll see how he does next episode after winning, or not winning, but being at the top this episode, if that impacts how people end up ranking him for this next one. But looking at next week, I am excited. They're going to Asheville. Have you been before?
I have not.
We went, I think during COVID, we road tripped there with the dogs and loved it. Like, cute little mountain town. And the food was amazing. Like, we weren't expecting to have like great food, and I don't know why, but it's a small town. And like the food was so good. And actually one of the restaurants we went to, the chef is competing on Culinary Cup this season. So Katie, we went to her restaurant, had no idea like that she was like a well-known chef. But the food was so good. So I loved Asheville. So I'm excited to see what they do here. But we alluded to it already. This is the episode where we get to see the snake. So not looking forward to that, but
yeah. I mean, and I think we are, like, I'm just sort of thinking back to earlier in the season, how we kept thinking, like, this is the episode where Jennifer goes home. No, this is the episode where Jennifer goes home. But I'm, like, 100% certain that this is the episode the snake shows up.
Yes. Yeah. I actually forgot about the snake. So, yeah, we will see the snake then. All right. Well, let's just a couple notes on fantasy leagues before we jump off. So normal scoring week this week, no notes. But we want to talk a little bit about just how each of the chefs are doing in fantasy league points wise, and then get into some of the leagues. And so Anthony, who's departing us, had a really great run. He was in second place on the leaderboard with 2 elimination wins, 4 elimination highs, 3 quickfire wins, which is amazing, and then a quickfire high. So it was a great run by him. I think I saw on Reddit that someone was like, it feels like he maybe needed 1 or 2 more years to be ready for Top Chef. So he might be a fun one to see in like an All-Stars. Yeah. I would love to see him come back. That would be very fun. And then Sherry is now tied with Anthony in second, with Lawrence still in the lead, even though he had a slight down week this week with, he still got positive points, but not the big jumps he's been getting. Seeger had his second best episode, so we were just talking about him, but winning his first best episode was where he talked about he got the quickfire win and the elimination win. And so he's still below Dwayne, Brandon, and Jennifer, though, in terms of points. So he's got some work to do to help out his fantasy leagues and the people that have them. And then Rhoda just jumped above Jonathan for 4th in the fantasy league points. So she is climbing her way out of having that negative 10 points from getting eliminated, and now kind of making her way back up the fantasy league points. So we'll see how she does. Talking about teams, I thought we'd jump into my team first. So as I mentioned, Anthony was my last chef. So he is gone. That jumped me down to 3rd place, where I can make it no higher. And Katie in our league has Lawrence and Sherry and is just absolutely crushing it. And I don't see her losing at this point. So I know she listens to this. So congrats to you, Katie.
Good job, Katie.
Yeah. But hey, we'll see how the rest of the season goes. What about all of the other leagues?
Yeah, so I'll just start with my league. My ego likes that I'm now at the top of my league.
Hey.
I started the season not as such, and was honestly like a little hurt because one of my friends who was winning for a while, she only just started watching this season. And I was like, that's not fair. It's just not fair.
Katie. That's Katie.
Katie. Okay, I might take back my congratulations. We'll see. But yeah, I'm only just ahead of my friend Kate in Fantasy League, and then only one of my friends who's in my Fantasy League is also doing power rankings, and I'm 10 points ahead of her.
Nice.
Even with my missed week, so that feels good.
Nice.
Yes. So looking at the Pack Your Knives team, so starting with the Pack Your Knives Fantasy Leagues where you drafted 2 chefs, Risotto Curse still in the lead, even though you lost Anthony.
Yeah, crushing our league and the power rankings. So congrats to.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, did I mix up? There's creamy risotto and Risotto Curse.
Oh, bummer. Well, good job, Risotto. I guess there's not a Risotto Curse. No. And the person who's in second of that is Team 4 of Pack Your Knives 4, who's Y Jacket 42. You still have both of your chefs in it. So I think you can maybe keep the faith alive because Risotto Curse lost Anthony. In the Pack Your Knives leagues with 4 chefs, Team 2 of, I didn't write down which team, but we know that it's Cosmic Cave Soup. So you're in the lead, Cosmic Cave Soup, with teams of 4 chefs. The team who's in second, Team 4 of Pack Your Knives 1, run by Jonathan F., has only 1 chef left. So I think Cosmic Cave Soup might win out of that group. For teams of 5, Costers is in the lead with 3 out of 5 chefs still in.
Wow, lucky.
Right. Kristen B47, who's Team 2 of Pack Your Knives 2, is in second, also with 3 of 5 chefs in. And then not that far behind them is Dumpling of PYK 7, M Croissant of PYK 10, and No Reservations of PYK 3. So it's very fun to see how you all are doing. And I wish that before this episode I had figured out, I realized that I know the usernames behind each of these teams. And so I could have been shouting you all out earlier as opposed to being like, Team X of PYKY. What? There's so many numbers. Who am I? So really happy I can do this and call you out here.
That's awesome. I love it. And I think we have to mention, so Tom and Sarah talked about this on Pack Your Knives, but Tom is now chefless. So it is just Team Sarah with 5 chefs. It's going to absolutely crush it. The points are just going to be insane. So
that's bonkers. I wonder. Yeah, that's going to be quite the differential.
Yeah. That'll probably be the biggest. Yeah. Biggest difference ever. Sorry, Tom. All right. I did want to give a shout out. So Allison emailed me and was talking about their fantasy leagues with her friends and the boys. And she said it's a nice thing to do instead of just having sports fantasy leagues. And she said everyone's super into it and they're just having a really great time. And they're actually planning to do a cocktail and a cooking competition post this season. And so I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but a few years ago, our fantasy league did a cooking competition night where each of us was responsible for cooking a dish, and you had as much preparation time as you needed before you got to the house. But then you had 20 minutes to cook your dish, and we did it in rounds of 2 people at a time. And then we convinced some friends to come over and eat and judge. So I made a scoring sheet. We had little Top Chef aprons and did a fun little night. And then that's how we picked our fantasy league draft order. And so they ranked us 1 through 6. So I sent her that. I have it on the website, a little blog I wrote with links to the scoring sheet I made and the aprons. If anyone is interested in doing your own, would love for you to share pictures with us and tell us how you did it. But yeah, that's a really fun thing to do. So Allison, when you all do that, definitely let us know how that goes and send us some pictures. We'd love to see that. All right. Well, that will do it for today. This was a long one. So just a reminder to submit your rankings on find-topchef.com. The bonus question this week is yes or no. So will 2 or more people make variations of the same thing for the elimination challenge? So we were thinking it's a big group event. And I think a few years ago, like half of them did like croquettes. And so I'm curious if anyone will this year. And then don't miss all the great content on packyourknives.com. Carly does amazing analysis on there that we love to then talk about on Track Your Knives. And then don't miss Tom and Sarah's episode recaps. Anything else, Carly, before we wrap up?
No, we're all good. Thanks for listening. This has been Track Your Knives.